Now we're joined by Sean McGlynn, who is Commercial and Technical Manager at Kiernan Milling, and Tom Hogan, the Pig Chairman at the Irish Farmers Association. Thanks very much for joining us for our discussion on pigs and the situation at the moment. Tom, if I can just start with you, what kind of price are pig farmers getting at the moment?
At the moment, average price 138. There's a range there from probably around 136 up to around 140, maybe 141. But the average price is around 138.
How would you describe that price?
Well, actually, it's a disaster at the moment because production costs, where they would have been hovering around 150, but with feed costs going up 20 euros a tonne since the 1st of September, you're talking about our costs at 158. Average. There's people probably even higher than that at 160, 161, 162. Even the most efficient people are at 155, 156 anyway. So you have a major gap there between the price of pig meat and the production costs. You're talking about from 15 to 20 cents a kilo.
Tom, in recent weeks and months, you've been involved in a number of protests on the issue. Can you tell us what's happening and why you're protesting?
Well, we're protesting. Really, we want to highlight that there's a problem, obviously, at farm level, but we want to highlight the problem with imported product in the retail shelves. And obviously, when you have imported product, it's displacing Irish pig meat, and the home market is our best market anyway. And obviously, we have a good product, is Board B quality assured, and obviously it's probably undervalued as well. That's the problem. And the problem with the retailers, by importing more product, they're actually downgrading our product. And when something is cheap, too cheap, in some ways it's perceived as not being top quality.
And you mentioned there about the retailer, and in some of the supermarkets where you've been protesting recently, you found that the pork, the pig produce that's on sale there is not Irish, and that's a big issue.
Would, obviously, not just all retailers at this stage. Some of the retailers will claim that they're carrying 100% Irish, and in their own brands in most cases they are, but then you have other brands there, and a lot of the product is not Irish. And where we have a problem, and where the consumer have a problem, is you have let's say the flag of convenience. There's an Irish flag there and an Irish sounding name, and then maybe if you get a magnifying glass and if you look at the back of the packet, you'll probably find that it's produced in Holland or Spain or Denmark, someplace like that. And that's really misleading the consumer, because first of all, they perceive when they see the Irish flag there that is Irish produced, and then you get the Irish sounding name. The only way that you can be absolutely sure that the product is Irish, 100% Irish, is when you see the Board B quality assured mark on it. When you see the Board B quality, you can be 100% sure that is Irish, what it says it is. But when you see the flag, it might be, but most cases it's not.
So on top of the price situation, on top of the cost of feed, when pig producers see that the products on the shelves are not Irish and that they're being imported from abroad, what kind of an impact does that have on their own confidence for their own business?
Well, obviously, particularly when you're losing money, people that are normally very reasonable can become very unreasonable, and obviously, it's a slap in the teeth when you see foreign product being trying to hoodwink the consumer into thinking that it is Irish. And look, if we got 100% Irish in all the supermarkets, it mightn't get us out of our present problems, but definitely it would add more to the price of pigs and probably make the industry a lot more sustainable long term. And I think we obviously have a job to do, not just now when price of pig meat is actually, and margins are at their lowest, but I think we have a job to do continuously going forward to ensure that as much of the product is. Another one where we would find as well is you'll find actually the cooked hams, and there's an awful percentage of the cooked hams, and their quality assured, but there is probably as much more of them. You'll get this value pack, and in some cases there is a flag in it, in some cases there's no quality assured mark, and you can be fairly well sure that that's an imported product. And obviously, like as well, if probably even there was more going into the ham side of it, because legs can be difficult enough to move at most times, and if we could get the value of the legs up more, well, obviously the whole price of the pig would be higher, you know. So I mean, like we're a small industry, like, but then when you look at it in terms of, like, I mean, we exported over 700 million last year, 730 million, and like, I mean, there is around 12,000 people like Sean and everyone else associated with the feed industry and the hauliers and everything else. Like, I mean, there are around 12,000 people involved in it. And another major worry we have at the moment is, like, I mean, is that African swine fever is been identified in Belgium, and I mean, we would be wanting everyone to be absolutely extra vigilant, and people coming from holidays abroad, foreign people will say, particularly Eastern Europeans that are working on pig farms, we have to educate those people that when they're coming back, to make sure that they're not actually bringing product from their own country with them. And what can happen is simply someone might only just discard a sandwich on the road, and that would be enough to bring it into the country. Then you have what we have as well is what we'd call the people that have, I suppose you could say, maybe pet pigs are unregulated, and some of those are importing pigs and backyard and probably no regulation. We need things like that to be tightened up, because, like, I mean, whatever chance about our bad price at the moment, if African swine fever arrived in, we could literally close the door, because it would close out most third world exports.
We're an island, like, so it's a great advantage, like, if we can keep these things out, like, you know, it keeps us with a very, you know, high health herd, and so the message needs to get out, like as Tom said, people discarding meat, sandwiches, stuff like that into pet pigs, and that it can be enough to spark off something like African swine fever, which would wipe the industry out, really, you know. There's no way around it.
No, there is no.
So what steps can be, that was just recently, Minister Creed made an announcement warning that this was on a problem that had been located over in Belgium, as Tom said, and warning for extra vigilance. What steps would you advise, Sean?
In mainland Europe, they have a wild pig population, you know, wild boar, so it can spread in the wild boar, and it can spread from country to country. They don't respect boundaries, like, so we essentially don't have that here, you know, so which is a big advantage. But the big thing here is just education, like, as I say, people coming back from abroad, you know, discarding footwear, having completely different clothes, and in meat products and stuff like that, it can spread, you know, if meat products got into ham sandwiches or whatever, given into pigs, it can spread the thing. It has absolutely no effect on humans, you know. It's just within animals, you know, or within pigs.
So how would you describe the education on that at the moment?
Listen,
probably leads a lot to be desired. There would need to be more focus, and I think we are meeting the Animal Health Council tomorrow. Pat Kerwin is chairing it, and I mean, really what we are trying to do is get everyone on board, and I think we need the Department of Agriculture to be more proactive about, and I think maybe a bit more vigilant at the ports, like particularly lorries that have coming in, livestock lorries, I think need to be absolutely ensured that they're properly disinfected before they come.
And regulating these pet pigs and that are coming in. It's very easy to bring in pigs from just say from the UK or whatever. There needs to be a lot more regulation of that and seeing.
No, we have a voluntary code of practice. That when animals are imported, they go into quarantine. But unfortunately, that side of it, they ignore those. There may be education would be. I think it's education more than anything else.
Sean, Tom outlined there a lot of challenges facing the sector at the moment, and he touched on the cost of feed. How would you describe the cost of feed at the moment? Why is it so high at the moment? What's going on?
The feed price, or we'll call it the ingredient prices, started to rocket over the summer, where we had a really dry summer, and all of Europe had similar weather, which really burnt up wheat crops. The tonnage, the yield on the crops was way down, so prices have spiked. Wheat price went up as far as I think $240 a ton, whereas last year you were talking maybe around 180. So that's a €60 gap. Barley followed that, so those two cereals make up a fairly substantial, maybe up to 60% of some pig rations, which has brought the prices up. That is an ongoing situation. It has relaxed a little bit now, but it's an ongoing challenge, and it's left where our customers are getting hit on the price that they're getting for the pigs is way down. Now the price of feed is starting to rise, so the gap, you could safely say that there's no pig farmer in the country making any money at the moment, and for us as a company, the pigs is our key sector. Our directors would be heavily involved in pigs as well on the production side. When our customers are losing money, it's not good, and it's at a crisis point at the minute.
Sean, what about the future of the sector? What's the outlook like?
Well, the outlook, feed, as Tom said, feed was risen around €20 a tonne there just recently. That'll probably carry it through to Christmas, but there may be some rises then again after Christmas if markets don't settle, So